Hello, welcome once again to Pale Blooms and Beyond. Thank you for joining us today. If you do like the programming you see here and the musicians and artists I visit with, please be sure and hit the like button and also subscribe to the channel. Elliott Murphy is an American singer, songwriter, novelist, record producer, and journalist who has called Paris, France home since 1989. Elliott's first album, 1973's Aquashow, was critically acclaimed. Other highly rated albums include 1982's Murph the Surf and 1995's Selling the Gold. To date, Elliott has released over 35 studio albums. Artists that have played on his albums include Bruce Springsteen, Phil Collins, Billy Joel, and Mick Taylor, to name a few. Aside from music, Elliott has written for publications such as Rolling Stone and Spin, and has written numerous short story collections and 4 novels. Elliott is the focus of the documentary film, The Second Act of Elliott Murphy, from 2015. In 2018, he starred in the film Broken Poet, based on his short story, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. The same year, he was inducted into the Long Island Music Hall of Fame. Today, Mr. Elliott still performs all over Europe as well as in the US and Japan. And my guest's latest release is entitled Infinity, released just this year. Well, welcome, Elliott.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Thanks for taking time out. We'll go back. It's been a few years. Where were you born?
I come from Long Island, New York, and I was actually born in a place called Rockville Center. I mean, that's not where I grew up, but that's where the hospital was. And every time I got to fill that out on an official document in France, they look at me like I'm making that up. You're a rock musician and you were born in Rockville Center.
Rock.
But I grew up in a town called Garden City, which is about 40 minutes outside of New York. And incidentally, it's where Charles Lindbergh took off from when he flew to France in 1927. I grew up there and lived there until I moved to Manhattan.
Okay. Well, did you grow up in a musical family?
It was musical. I mean, not professionally, but my father was in show business. And he had a show called the Aquashow, which I named my first album after. And it was kind of a multi-dimensional presentation with a huge swimming pool with kind of those ballet Esther Williams kind of swimmers, if anyone remembers that in our age group. So he had some great musical talent there. Cab Calloway and Duke Ellington played there. And my father was kind of a self-taught musician, could play the piano, and we used to have like family jam sessions. My mother was a wonderful singer. And I started playing the guitar. I took lessons with my mother when I was 12 years old.
Is that right? Okay. Wow. That was your first instrument then.
That I think in school they offered music lessons in school, and I tried the trumpet, but it was hard to sing and play the trumpet at the same time. So, and man, I had seen Elvis Presley on television, and I like those cowboy singers with their guitar, Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and everybody. So I wanted to play guitar.
Yeah. It fascinates me about musicians like yourself that can play and sing at the same time. I think I've never been a musician, never tried, but I think I'd be too focused on one or the other to do both.
It does seem daunting when you first try it, but you kind of become two different people, The hands are doing one thing and the mouth is doing another.
Right. And it becomes second nature kind of after a while too. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
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 Well, can you recall one of the first 45s or albums that you got?
Oh, very easily because it was a song called Run Around Sue by Dion.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I love that song so much. I had the 45, and my father had a little tape recorder, and I wanted to hear it over and over. So I taped it like 20 times in a row so I could just press play and listen to it over and over. But there was a wonderful store called the Garden City Music Center, a little record, one of those record stores like we used to have in, American towns, and they would let you actually listen to singles before you bought them with headphones.
Yeah.
And I bought that there. I bought, oh, so many great records. Running Bear, I remember that. And I also bought Bob Dylan's single for Subterranean Homesick Blues.
Oh, is that right? Right.
Yeah.
I remember, well, I don't remember, but I've heard stories on this about before they actually had music stores, they would sell them in like department stores.
Oh yeah.
Had their little section with the vinyl over there. Yeah, exactly.
I
Interesting.
remember buying the Dave Clark 5 album at a Macy's,
There you go. There you
Russell
go.
Field. Yeah.
I guess Woolworth, Wilco had them as well.
All of them.
But,
Yeah.
yeah, back in the day. Wow. All right. Well, can you recall one of the first live shows that you attended that you went to for a pop or a rock band?
Oh, that I attended.
Yeah.
Well, as I said, my father had this show, the Aquashow, but then after about 10 years, he moved on and opened a restaurant called the Sky
Oh,
Club. And they would sometimes have what were called then college mixers on like Sunday afternoons. And they had some live talent there. And I remember seeing the Ronettes play
oh, right.
there. And also, there was a Long Island band called the Hassles, which featured Billy Joel on organ. And they played at my father's restaurant too. So those were the first shows I saw. When it came to going to real concerts, oh wow, there I saw the Cream very early on at a place called the Island Garden on Long Island. And then being living in New York suburbs, the Fillmore East opened up in New York in 67, I think. So we would go in there all the time and see shows. I saw Led Zeppelin there, the Jeff Beck group, Mountain, Jethro Tull, you know, everybody who was around at that time was playing the Fillmore East.
Wow. Yeah, I wished I had been a few years, born a few years younger. I could have seen a lot of those bands. I watched the latest documentary on Zeppelin,
Hmm.
where it's like the first couple of albums. Maybe it doesn't go through their whole career, how they got started, basically.
Right. I
And they
saw that.
and they you watched that one, and they played here in Louisville, like 70, no 69, I think it was. And I'm like, but I was too young. I said, oh, if I could have just gone back and been born a little bit earlier, I could have gone to that.
Well, I
Never
was
thought that.
totally into those guitar heroes, Jeff Beck, Jimmy Page, and especially Eric Clapton and Jimi Hendrix. I saw Jimi Hendrix play,
Yeah.
which I saw him ram his Stratocaster into his Marshall amps. Because back in those days, my dreams were not being a singer. It was really being a guitar player.
Guitar player.
But
Well,
skipping ahead a bit, then in 1971, I took a trip to Europe
okay.
with a couple of friends, and he had a Martin guitar, and that's when I really started writing songs seriously.
Okay. Well, what took you there? Why did you take that trip there?
A couple of reasons. I mean, there were personal reasons. My father had passed away in 1965 at a young age, 48, and my family kind of went into free fall after that. So think I was trying to escape from all that. Also, I had a sister, Michelle, who was a stewardess on Pan Am Airlines. So she'd be able to get me tickets for, $100. I don't know. I was nothing, probably not
Yeah.
even a hundred
Yeah.
dollars. And I took that first flight to Amsterdam. Then when I went to Brussels, then to Paris, where I am today, and then down to Rome. And I think I fell in love with Europe.
Yeah. Yeah. And there, of course, there wasn't all the security that there is today at the airports back then. So,
They
yeah.
have made traveling about as difficult as they possibly can, I would say.
Right.
But
Yeah.
there was smoking on the airplanes. I mean, come
Right.
on.
Right. Exactly. I remember seeing some of those early commercials too. A lot of smoking allowed. Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow. So you appeared when you were went to Europe in the Fellini film Roma.
I did. I mean, I didn't really dream of being an actor, but I was playing on the streets, passing the hat, and I became friends with an American actor named Farley Granger, who was in the Alfred Hitchcock movie Strangers on a Train. And he told me I should go out to Cinecittà, which was the big movie studio outside of Rome, because Fellini was casting for this film, which was eventually titled Roma. So I went out there with my brother Matthew, and I mean, Fellini kind of opened the door, looked at us, shut the door, and we were hired, as glorified extras for a week, and they paid very well. And if you see the movie today, I am in it.
You are there. You are
I am there. Yeah,
for a cameo, basically.
or exactly.
Oh wow! So any of the people out there that are interested in watching this, check that out and watch for Elliott.
Yeah.
Uh,
Don't take a toilet break or you'll miss me.
you'll miss him. Well, how did you secure a recording contract with Polydor?
I think during that trip to Europe, as I said before, I was writing a lot of songs. And me and my brother, when we got back to New York, started hanging out at Max's Kansas City, which was a famous club there. All kind of rockers with Lou Reed used to hang out there. And the Velvet Underground played their last series of shows there. And it was kind of the golden age in New York. I mean, there were a lot of music, there were a lot of clubs to play at. And we just started knocking on doors. And, it just sounds unbelievable in this day and age. But within 3 months, we had a record deal with Polydor. We
Oh,
went up to their office, knocked on the door. The receptionist was there. We said, we have a demo tape. Can anybody listen? The assistant A&R listened to our tape, set up an audition with the head of A&R, a guy named Peter Siegel, who eventually produced Aquashow. And he set up an audition and he liked that audition. And well, it was very fast. In fact, in hindsight, it was too fast. I didn't have
did
that
you get
history of.
did you get whiplash from
I
that?
got bad whiplash. I mean, it was like, there was a band called the New York Dolls I used to open for, and I think that one of their albums was titled Too Much Too Soon, and that was almost more my case than theirs. I
Yeah.
did have, that like Bruce Springsteen had of playing in clubs on the Jersey Shore for years and years and getting my chops down. So very quickly, I did this album, Aquashow. It got an incredibly overwhelming critical response, and I was out on the road opening for the Kinks and Jefferson Starship. And
You recall recording sessions? Gene
oh, I
Parsons.
do very well. They were at the record plant. It was a famous studio in New York, and there were three studios there, A, B, and C. And I was mostly in Studio C, which was up on the 10th floor of this building. And it was like a prayer session, my sessions. I mean, we had some great musicians. We had a Gene Parsons who had played drums with the Byrds, Frank Owens who had played on Highway 61. But down in Studio A was the New York Dolls doing their second album. And it
Oh,
was like an orgy down there. They had every member of the band had 20 hangers on,
yeah, yeah.
all the girls in miniskirts. So it was but I do remember those sessions and thankfully, Peter Siegel, he really saw the value in the songs. And I think his production really encased those songs in a very timeless manner. And that's why Aqua Shows, I think, really has stood the test of time.
Yeah, it really has. It really has. Again, as I mentioned, it got great reviews and was critically acclaimed at the time. So, do you recall how many albums, how many products sold at the time?
Well, very hard to say. I mean, if you know anything about the music business, you would know that the labels never really want you to know how many albums they've sold.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
it did enter the charts, low on the charts. And uh, and then 2 years later, it was released in Europe, and it really sold well in Europe, especially in France, which has a lot to do with why I'm here today.
Yeah, right. Well, you mentioned you mentioned the New York Dolls. I guess David Johansen. Was he the
Yeah,
last? Was he the last of? Are there any still around? Are they all gone now?
he was the last of the original Dolls. I knew them all very well, David and Sylvain and Johnny Thunders, of course. And I opened for them in Boston at a series of shows, and also at their biggest show they ever did in New York, which was at the Academy of Music, about 3,000 people. And I knew David well. And in the 80s, we both used to play in a bar, a blues bar called Tramps. We were neighbors living very close to each other in the Gramercy Park section of New York. It was really heartbreaking when he passed away.
Yeah, yeah. So many great ones have already gone, and it seems like every day there's another one. Wow,
Doesn't it? Yeah.
you know, it's inevitable, you know. Well,
Well, as Warren Zevon said, he was terminally ill with cancer, and David Letterman asked him if he had learned anything from this experience, and he said, yes, enjoy every sandwich. So
that's
try and
right.
keep that in mind.
That's right. I like that. Enjoy every sandwich. Wow. Well, words to live by. Yeah, there we go. Well, your 1975 album, A Lost Generation, was produced by Paul Rothchild, known for his work with the Doors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, he produced Janis Joplin.
Ah, all right. Right.
Uh, Produced Janis Joplin, The Doors. I knew of Paul because he had produced the first album of the Paul Butterfield Blues Band. And as I told you, I wanted to be a guitar hero. And Mike Bloomfield, who was in that band, was really the first. I don't think he gets enough credit to this day, but he really influenced Eric Clapton and all those English guitar players. So I knew of Paul Rothchild. I knew his name. I wanted to go to New York, to LA to record, and he put together an amazing band, which consisted of Jim Gordon on the drums. He
Oh,
had played with Derek and the Dominoes. He had co-written Layla, but some of Paul Simon's sidemen, and also Sonny Landreth, great slide guitar player. It was quite an experience. I mean, those sessions, everyone in LA was talking about them at the time.
yeah. I love the slide guitar, when it's added into rock music as well,
Mm,
not just country. I like that. The steel and the slide guitar. I like both of those. Yeah.
me too.
Yeah. Wow. Well, how many albums would you record on Polydor? How many?
I just did one on Polydor.
Okay, just the
And
one.
Lou Reed used to come see my shows at Max's Kansas City. And he said, you got to get off of Polydor because although they were an established label in Europe, they were kind of new in America. And, I toured in cities like Boston, and it turned out they didn't have any records in the store, things like that. And Lou was on RCA, and he thought he could get me to RCA too, which he did with the help of his manager, Dennis Katz. So RCA bought my Polydor contract, and I went and did two albums for RCA. The first one, Lost Generation, produced by Paul Rothchild, and the second one produced by Steve Katz, who was in the Blood, Sweat, and Tears and the Blues Project, and he had produced Lou's Rock and Roll Animal
Oh,
album.
yes, yes. What an
Yeah,
album. Yeah.
what else?
Well, you mentioned Max's. Did you play CBGB's?
I played CBGB's once, and if I can be very honest with you, I never liked
You
CBGB.
didn't
I,
like it.
I thought it was a dump. I mean, I like a lot of the music that came out of there, of course, I mean, I
Yeah.
saw the Ramones there. I loved the Ramones, Blondie, Television.
Television, yeah.
But
Yeah.
man, that place was a dump. You really had to put up with a lot if you
Yeah.
wanted to play there.
Yeah. All right. All right. Well, your 77 album, Just a Story from America, was
Hmm.
recorded in London, uh,
Yeah,
featuring guitarist Mick Taylor and also Phil Collins on drums.
yeah. Well, I jumped labels once again, did those two albums for RCA. And then I got with a very high-powered management company called Lieber and Krebs, and they were managing Aerosmith, who was on Columbia, and they wanted to get me on Columbia, and they did. And I just literally, I had a blank check of doing whatever I wanted, and I said I'd like to go to London to record, and I recorded at Air Studios
Oh,
on Oxford Street, um, and Phil Collins. Phil Collins had just, no, Peter Gabriel had just left Genesis. So Phil Collins was doing a lot of different things and he played on that album. And I'll never forget one time I said to him, what are you going to do with the band now that Peter Gabriel left? And he said, well, we've auditioned about 100 singers and I'm so disgusted, I'm thinking of singing myself, which is exactly what he did.
yeah,
Mick
yeah.
Taylor, I met at a CBS International Convention and I wrote the song Rock Ballad. really for him because when I met him, I said, "Would you consider playing on my album?" He said, "Well, if you had the right song." So I wanted to have something that was pretty bluesy for him. And as you mentioned before, it's slide guitar. That's what he played on that, a slide lead.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Phil, I like his work in Brand X, the
Yeah.
jazz band. Yeah, I like
Oh,
that.
it's the Phil Collins. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then of course, with Genesis. What's fascinating to me is he was there in the band for so long, but not lead singer with Genesis. And
Exactly. Yeah.
and then when he stepped up, it's like, boy, you've been hiding that voice all this time. And similar, I mean, it's eerie how similar Peter and his voice are. They
Well, I guess the drummers spend a lot of time looking at the backside of the lead singer.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
maybe he learned a few things, but he was a very nice guy and very funny. He would just, my songs can tend to be on the serious side, and he would just have us all cracking up in the studio.
Yeah, good sense of humor. Another drummer who was originally drummer and then jettisoned to lead was Karen Carpenter. And
Yes, of course.
another one. It's like, how did they not see that here? Maybe she didn't audition early on. But boy, that voice, yeah, another one gone too soon.
And
Well,
she was quite a good drummer too.
right,
She
right.
should get more credit for that. I think Downbeat once rated her the number one or two best jazz drummers in America.
Right, right. She
Yeah.
she doesn't. I think it's just her voice overshadowed everything.
Yeah.
Wow, what a
Poor thing suffered from anorexia, and what a shame.
yes, yes. Well, moving on to 1984's Party Girls, Broken Poets, released, I found this one interesting, on a Texas label, Austin's
Mm,
Deja disc. Yeah, I thought that was nice. Yeah. That's why
that's
you
it.
that's why you agreed to do this, right?
Exactly. I always liked Texas. Opened for ELO in Dallas
Did you?
once, 77. I had a girlfriend who was from Laredo once, and she was wonderful, half Comanche Indian. And I always liked Texas. But for all us New Yorkers, kids who wanted to be cowboys, Texas was the Mecca. Interesting you should mention Deja Disc because that was a label uh, owned by a guy named Steve Wilkeson. And Steve Wilkeson now lives in France.
Yeah, really?
He
Okay.
lives down in Vence, which is in the south of France, and he's my webmaster here. Takes care of all my website and the store on my website. I was talking to him literally 2 hours ago.
Is that right? Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Wow.
And
What a
because of Steve, I played at South by Southwest in Austin, I think 3 different times.
did you? Yeah.
Yeah.
Now that's the place to play there. Yeah. Every
Certainly
month.
used to be.
Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I've heard stories lately that it's kind of gone down a little bit, but yeah, that's the real hub of music here in Texas, Austin. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah. The Deja disc, and I think I saw ELO. It must have been the tour after that when you were in Dallas, because
Mm.
I don't remember you opening. That must have been 78 or 79 when I saw him. Yeah.
Yeah, no, I saw him in 77. It
Yeah.
was the tour of Just a Story from America.
Yeah.
And I still kick myself to this day for not getting close with Jeff Lynne, who turned out to be such an amazing producer, working with Tom Petty and the Traveling Wilburys and
Yeah.
all that. But back then, to be honest, musicians didn't hang out as much together. They didn't cross those lines, whereas today everybody's much more friendly backstage.
Right. Right. Yeah. I think it was a lot of that competition early on and egos, that
A lot of that, yeah.
that happens. Yeah. You mentioned, yeah, I think Jeff and Bob Dylan are the only two traveling Wilburys still around.
Yes. Yeah. I opened for Bob Dylan once too
Oh,
in
really?
in Pistoia. I didn't really meet him, but he did give me like a nod of the head. I guess that's
That's good from Bob, coming from
yeah.
Bob anyway.
Yeah. That's
Well,
like a hug coming from
yeah,
Bob.
exactly, exactly. I had speaking of Texas musicians, what is her name? I did an interview with Carolyn Hester.
That's
So,
right. Yeah.
okay,
He played harmonica.
yeah, yeah, he did play harmonica exactly. he was going around asking everybody, kind of, like, can I play on one of your albums? Can I play with you? And she gave in. I think he must have harassed her a bit, and allowed him to play his harmonica on one of her albums. Exactly. So
The
the story.
story I heard about Bob when he first came to New York was that within a few weeks, he knew like 1,000 folk songs. He knew more than anybody else. He
Yeah,
could hear it once and play it.
yeah,
And I think, and then the other story I heard, when he was touring with Tom Petty, he would call out songs that the band didn't know
yeah,
in the
yeah.
middle of the show. And I think at a backstage or something, one of the band members said, Bob, it's tough when you call, we'd like to rehearse them first. And Bob said, you could call out any song and I could play it. And they
Yeah.
said, oh, yeah. He said, yeah, call out a song. And someone called out, what was it? Rhonda, Help Me Rhonda
Tell
by
me,
the
Rhonda.
Beach Boys. And he sang the whole
He
song.
did. He
So,
did.
he is, as Leonard Cohen said, Bob Dylan is the Picasso of rock and roll.
Yeah, yeah. I believe it. I believe it. Well, going back to we got off on a tangent there, but going back to the '84 album, the album included guest vocals by David Johansen, we referenced earlier, and was nominated for Album of the Year at the New York Music Awards. Yeah,
It was, yeah.
yeah, yeah. Well, that,
I recorded that album in a studio which doesn't exist anymore because it was in a building right next to the World Trade Centers that was destroyed during the on 9/11.
was it one of those?
Called
Wow.
Battery Sound, yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I've heard that mentioned many times in history, battery sound. Wow. I didn't know it was destroyed. Wow.
Hmm.
Wow. Well, how did you segue into writing?
Didn't, well, I always wanted to be a writer. And in fact, before I ever recorded a note of music, I wrote the liner notes for a Velvet Underground album called Live 1969. So I was actually published as a writer, if you can consider that being published before I released an album. I come from those two schools, writers such as F. Scott Fitzgerald and Jack Kerouac and Hemingway and Emily Dickinson, Virginia Woolf. I mean, they had as much as of an influence on me as the musicians I idolized.
Yeah, so there was that history there. Okay,
I
okay.
guess I need both. Uh, they're very different because,
Yeah.
when you write a great paragraph, nobody applauds. It's not like there's no performance
Right,
involved
right.
in writing. It's a quiet and it's a solitary pursuit. I like to say that literature is my religion and rock and roll is my addiction.
Oh, okay. I like that. I like that. Yeah, because you don't get that immediate response that you do like playing live, in music. It takes a little while to hear back from fans. Wow.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, there's a process. You write a song and then you work on it for a while. Although some songs can come fully formed very quickly, and then you record it and then you start performing it.
Yeah,
It's a
yeah.
process.
We, well, you did write for several publications, referenced in the intro. Did you enjoy that, or did you like your own short stories? Having that freedom to do that.
I did. I first wrote for Rolling Stone. I think it was 79 or 80, and I knew Jan Wenner, the publisher and editor-in-chief, because we had done a television show together some years before when Rolling Stone was just beginning. And I ran into him on 57th Street, and he asked me if I'd like to write some things for the magazine. I said I would love to, but I don't want to write any negative reviews because I didn't think I had that right as a musician. So I did quite a few things. I interviewed Gary Oldman when the Sid and Nancy movie came out. I did a long article about Tom Waits when he thought he was going to move to New York, although he didn't end up doing that. And Jan published one of my short stories called Cold and Electric, which eventually turned into a novel and was published here in France and Spain and Germany and Switzerland under the title Marty May some years later.
Okay, okay. Well, you really did start writing a whole lot of more material, a lot of short stories. Uh,
I seem to go through a lot of those stories. There's a time I'm just consumed with that. I seem to have all those stories inside, and then months and years can go by. I don't write much at all, but maybe I'll do more music on that side. So
yeah, yeah, you have to have that inspiration has to come. I know with me, it seems like it comes in the middle of the night more than any other time. I don't know what it is.
and you better write down those ideas
Right.
because you'll wake up in the morning and you won't remember them.
Exactly. Uh, speaking of midnight, I had talked to a guy who was a session musician for a while, and he tells a story of it was around midnight, and somebody called up and said, "Hey, you want to play on this album, in a couple of days or whatever?" And he said, "Yeah, sure," and just hung up like that. And then he woke up the next morning. Was that a dream or did that actually happen? Right. But he did get called back, so he did actually do it. But
Whose album was it? John Lennon's Mild
no,
Age or something like that?
no, no. A lesser known musician, but a British musician. Well, uh, how long I think you may have already addressed this, the idea of writing short stories appealed to you? How long had that?
It appealed to me from the beginning. My family used to subscribe to the New Yorker, whose hat I'm wearing
Oh, there it is.
today, and there were always short stories in there by John Cheever and John Updike, and I really enjoyed those. And when I was in school, I studied the short stories of O. Henry. I really liked that. F. Scott Fitzgerald, his short stories, Hemingway's. Although today I think it's almost a lost art, you don't hear much about short
Yeah,
story collections making the impact they once did.
yeah. I think it has been. You're right. It's kind of fallen out of grace with the public for some reason.
And I think short stories have more in common with songs, you got to kind of get to the point, get
Yeah,
in and out much faster than with a novel. You really got to keep track of a universe that you create.
right, right. Yeah, that's true. I think short stories with the short attention span that people have today would be more appealing.
Yeah.
But I
I
think
think
that,
even short stories are too long for the
yeah, I was
attention
going to say
span of today.
it's getting shorter and shorter. It seems to be. Wow.
Lou Reed, who was always ahead of his time, he told me he wanted to write a song once called that would just say three words, brush your teeth. And that
Yeah.
would be the whole song right there. Da, 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 finished.
Okay. All right. I like that. Brush your teeth. Well, in 2015, Aquashow Deconstructed was released, a
Mm.
re-recording of your first album.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you
And
enjoy
that was
that process? Yeah.
great. It was a very moving experience because my son Gaspar produced it. And
Uh-huh.
there I'd be, he was behind the glass in the control room, and I'd be singing there these songs that were 50 years old.
Yeah.
And he'd be right there singing. I'd be singing How's the Family and Last of the Rock Stars, all these songs that had my kind of rock star dreams in them, singing them to my son. And interestingly enough, on Spotify, his version of The Last of the Rock Stars is more popular than the original one.
Is that right?
Yeah.
His
But I
version.
did. It was a great experience. I would like to do that if I had the time and the finances. I would do that with almost all my early albums because I think songs mature over time, and you'd like to give them another chance. It's a shame that they only got one shot.
Right, right. Yeah, a lot of the musicians I talk to will say, I would never go back and redo anything because it was of its time. I leave
Mm.
it alone. I wouldn't want to revisit. But then others say, yeah, there's things I could have tweaked or done a little bit different or modernize, make it more, up today. Yeah.
Well,
So,
Leonardo da Vinci
uh,
was carrying Mona Lisa around with him for years, and he was constantly retouching it.
yeah,
There's layers and layers. And he actually went, the reason why Mona Lisa is in France and not in Italy was because he passed away. He was he had a patron who was a king, and he had the Mona Lisa with him and was even working on it then.
is that right?
That's
Okay,
right, yeah.
I didn't know that story. I didn't know that. Wow. So your son Gaspar, how old is he now?
He is 35.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So he was born there in France.
Oh, yes. Gaspar, I moved here in 89.
Yeah.
I met my wife, Francoise. We've been together 35 years, and Gaspar was born 35 years ago. Yeah.
Okay. So he speaks fluent French. Then I.
Oh, he speaks fluent French and he speaks English with
Oh,
no accent.
is that
And,
right? Okay. That's well,
and because I only, he really benefited from my lack of French when I moved here. Now I can kind of speak French, but he benefited from that. And then he went to university in America that SUNY Purchase. It's a school in New York that
yeah.
a
Yes.
lot a lot of actors and musicians go to. I think Moby went there.
Okay.
And he told me, people thought he was American by the way he talked. He said, I realize it's more than watching South Park once a week that you really know American culture.
Picking up from South Park. Yeah. Well, that's it. Yeah, because you can get by there in France without speaking French. Enough people speak English, right? That you
You
can.
can if you're polite and if you first say bonjour.
Okay, say that first.
That is the bonjour effect is really important. You gotta, if you go in to buy bread, say
Yeah.
bonjour, can I have, and then they'll kind of deal with you. But if you don't say bonjour first, they might go on to the next customer.
Dismiss you. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And I know because English being the universal language, that you can. I talk to musicians in Germany and Spain and other, and they can get by. They say, yeah, you don't have to, but they almost think it's kind of rude to not try to speak the native tongue, at
Well,
least.
now I bought AirPods 3, which have a translation
Translate.
feature.
Right.
I don't think it's been approved yet in Europe, but it was approved in the US. And if someone speaks to me in French, I can hear it in English.
Oh, you know what? I need to get one of those.
It's
Yeah.
so, I mean, I think one of the first jobs which artificial intelligence has made obsolete are translators
Yeah, yeah.
because it just works so well with that. I always to tweak my letters and things, I'll use Google Translate.
Google Translate. Yes,
But
yes.
now it translates so well,
Yeah.
they're constantly improving.
I need to get one of those because I've reached out to some uh, from like South America, France,
Mm,
and they say, no, my English is not so good.
mm.
don't want to do it. But if I had that, then, we could do it. Yeah.
You could do it, yeah.
There we go. There we go. Well, the same year as Aquashow Deconstructed was released, you appeared in the documentary, The Second Act of Elliott Murphy.
Yes, I did, yeah.
Yes. Yes. How was that experience?
It was, I'll tell you what it was like. We all go through life and we think it's chaos. We just try to make the best decision we can with the information we have. But when that documentary about my life and my career was made, it looks as though I had a well thought out plan from day one, which I certainly did not. That came about because it was a Spanish director, and I probably toured more in Spain than any other country. They really have a love of the guitar there, and they just always appreciated my music in Spain. And Jorge Arianas contacted me and said he'd like to do this documentary and followed us. Olivier Duran, who's my guitarist for 29 years, French, and he followed us around and then did interviews. And I think it really came out quite well. And the documentary was finished, and he said, "What do you want to call it?" And I said, "Well, there's this quote from F. Scott Fitzgerald. There are no second acts in American lives." So he said, "Then we're going to call it the second act of Elliott Murphy." And then he said, "It needs something special in it. We got to get another musician to talk about it." So I called up Bruce Springsteen, who I've known for a while, and he agreed to do it. And then, if that wasn't enough, Billy Joel agreed to speak too.
Yeah.
So we have the two of these incredible, iconic musicians saying things about me they would never say to my face. Very nice and
I like
complimentary.
that.
So
Well,
that's how that came about.
wow. And how long was the filming on that? How long?
I think from maybe about 2 years.
Oh, really, really.
Yeah, I mean there were breaks. because
Okay.
he had to go to America to interview Bruce and Billy Joel.
Yeah.
Uh, Maybe a year and a half, year and a half. And then
Okay.
we brought the film to a film festival on Long Island, the Stony Brook Film Festival, where it was shown. So it kind of came full circle.
Yeah. Yeah. So it wasn't too invasive, the filming. You were able to kind of carry on with your life as well.
Pretty much so. I mean, he came into my apartment and, interviewed my wife, Francoise, interviewed Gaspar, my son, and me. But yeah, it was okay.
Well, fast forwarding to 2018, the film Broken Poet, based on your short story, The Lion Sleeps Tonight. Who else starred in that movie?
Again, that came about a little differently because I had a book of short stories that was translated and published in Spain. And one of them was called The Lion Sleeps Tonight. And it was about, I wrote this story in the 80s for a kind of a competitor to Rolling Stone called Music Sound Output. And it was kind of based on the premise, what if a Jim Morrison kind of character just wanted to escape and he faked his death? And the director, Emilio Escobar, he read that story and he thought it would make a good film. And I got together most of the casting I did. My friend Michael O'Keefe, who is an Oscar-nominated American actor, he was in the film. A young French actress, Joanna Price, was in the film. And again, Bruce Springsteen and Patty Scialfa made a guest appearance. And my wife, Francoise, was in the film. So this was all fiction. I mean, it's a little bit based on my own experience, but really the concept of that film is exploring what does success really mean, and this character, Jake Lyon, who was the rock star, for him, success did not mean freedom, and he wanted freedom more than anything else.
Right, right. What did you hear at the time from the critics and the audience and viewers?
Well, the thing was, well, unfortunately, Broken Poet was supposed to have its premiere at a New York Film Festival on March 26th, the year of COVID.
Oh,
COVID, March 13th, everything shut down.
yeah.
So it missed that. It might have gone to into real theaters, so it just went directly like to Apple TV. But people were always a little confused. Was that my story or was it fictionalized because I play the character? But yeah, in general, it's gotten a very positive reaction. I hope someday it will have a second chance to be exposed to the public.
Yeah, yeah, that would be nice. That would be nice. Wow. Well, also in 2018, you were inducted into Long Island Music Hall of Fame by none other than who?
Billy Joel.
Yes, there
He
you
did, you know,
Yeah.
I knew Billy back in the 70s because I opened a bunch of shows for him, and we were both from Long Island, and we got to be friends. Really super nice guy, and just the most amazing piano player I know. And I was going through my archives here a couple of years ago, and I came across a photo of me and Billy and Dr. John. And through one of Billy's handlers, I got that photo to Billy, and we kind of reconnected because of that. And then when I was in going to be inducted into the Long Island Music Hall of Fame, I asked him if he would do me the honors, and he agreed. Gave a wonderful speech, and invited me to come and play with him at Madison Square Garden a few days later. And I got on stage and we did Lou Reed's Walk on the Wild Side.
Oh, wow. Did you?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love his Billy's early material, Piano Man, great album. And then The Stranger too, as well.
Cold
But
Spring Harbor was another great early
oh
album.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That was his very first album. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right. Right. A lot of people don't know, they don't go back to the origins, don't realize he went back that far, 71, actually when that was released. Wow.
Same age as me.
Right,
1949 was the good vintage year for rock singer-songwriters. Bruce Springsteen, myself, Billy Joel, I think Tom Waits as well.
right. Well, has the new Bruce movie come out, or is it?
I think it came out in France yesterday,
Oh,
but I have not seen it yet.
okay,
I
okay.
was in America. I just got back on Monday.
Oh, did you? Okay.
Yeah, I was in 1985. I was not sure if the music business was still on my side, and I thought I better go back to school, maybe become a lawyer. That was my thought at the time. And I went back to school to a school called Empire State University, which is part of SUNY State University in New York. I got a degree, even got a job in a law firm for a couple of years, but then the music pulled me back, and soon I was on tour all over Europe again. But that school this year gave me their Professional Excellence Award of 2025. So my wife and I went up to Saratoga Springs, where the school is located, and received that award, which was just a wonderful, moving experience, and just got back on Monday.
Oh, from that, wow. That would be, yeah, another old feather in your cap. That's
Yeah.
gotta it's gotta feel good.
Well, that's what happens when you get to if you don't die and you stick around and you keep making music,
Uh-huh.
you end up with a wall full of
I was
awards.
gonna
And,
say
you know,
you're you're gonna get a lot of accolades
yeah,
over
and
time, and
it's
it's
good. You can look at them and remember who you are.
right. It's good to be recognized like that. It's got to feel good. Yeah,
It
and
does. Well,
you've reached. Go ahead. Go ahead.
they say children need love and adults need acknowledgement. So it's a kind of a sort of acknowledgement, you know,
Right. And especially when it's from the music industry too.
especially, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
You've
I've got
received.
a couple here in France. There's
There you go.
the Union Nationale of Composers gave me their Grand Prix prize 2 years ago, and been made a Chevalier of Arts and Letters by the French government. So
Yeah.
I've been very lucky
Yeah.
that I've recognized that I've survived, and that I always say success in the music business is really just measured by survival.
Uh, well said. Yes, I'm glad you brought those French awards up because I would have chopped it all up trying to trying to say those. uh, looking back, what were some of the highlights of playing live around the world?
Ooh, so many. I mean, Greg, I've done with the help of some fans, we've put together an Excel file of all my shows, and we're at about 3,000 shows I've done. Probably missed a lot, but certainly the first time I went to Japan to play, that was moving. It was one of the only time I really had stage fright when I walked out onto the stage and I see an audience and everyone's Japanese, that audience, but they were
Yeah.
wonderful. The first time I played in Paris in 1979, that was a turning point really in my life and my career because I had no idea. I thought I was going to come here and play to a little club of a couple of hundred people, and it was a venue of about 1,000 people, and I did six encores. So I thought maybe there was going to be a second act in my life, in my career. And then, of course, as I mentioned before, the time I got on stage with Billy Joel, but the many times I've been on stage with Bruce Springsteen, he's invited me to sing with him, and he was playing once at the Stade de France, which is the French stadium, about 80,000 people. And he invited me and my son Gaspar to come on stage and sing Born to Run with him. And that was just, you can't imagine the thrill that was.
Yeah. No, that's got to be something else. I mean, especially with Bruce up there and your
Yeah.
son and your son
I
as
couldn't
well.
take my eyes off my son. I didn't even look at the 80,000 people in front of me.
Well, let me ask you, does your son enjoy your early material, your music?
Well, I like to say my music to Gaspar is like snow to an Eskimo, I mean, it's always been there,
Yeah,
From the
yeah,
day he was born, he's very familiar with it. And yeah, he is. I think the reason he was able to do that Aquashow Deconstructed album so well was he had lived with the the songs on Aquashow since, since you started listening to music.
Yeah, yeah. So there's not that generation gap with music between you two. Yeah, yeah,
No, he is a very wide, probably the music, and he's helped me stay hip to what's going on. I don't think I would have ever listened to Nine Inch Nails, maybe, if not for Gaspar and, you know, all kinds of things.
yeah. It can go both ways too.
It can go both ways.
You influence, he influences. Yeah. Well, do you just have the one child, the one son?
I do, yes,
Okay,
I do.
okay, okay. Yeah, I just have one myself. Uh, well, talk about your latest release, Infinity.
Infinity was an album that Gaspar now has his own studio here in Paris, quite a nice studio. So I'm able to go in there and kind of record songs when I think they're ready. And I wasn't really planning on making an album, but I had these 9 songs together. And when you make an album, there's somehow in some metaphysical way, the songs have to work together. And these 9 songs I thought did work together. And I don't know why I called it Infinity. Maybe it's because I've done so many albums, I don't want to number them anymore. But yeah, there's a song on there called The Lion Sleeps Tonight, which was inspired by the death of a friend of mine named Peter Beard, who was a great photographer. And I'm at that stage of my career and of my life. I'm just really grateful to still be making music, still be releasing albums, still be touring.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what do you do to stay active? You
What
exercise?
do I what
Yeah,
do I
yeah,
attribute that to?
yeah. Your longevity? Yeah,
Well, I do try and stay healthy. I mean, I gave up all my demons a long time ago.
yeah.
And I try and because it is if you're not in shape when you're 76, you're not going to be out there doing 2-hour shows. I once did a show for 4 hours.
Oh wow.
Bruce does 4-hour shows all the time, but I did that once or twice. And I think, I just this each time I get on stage and sing a song, it pulls me back to where I was when I wrote that song, what I was feeling at the time. So maybe they keep you young in a way.
That's
They
a good way to look
expand
at
your perception of yourself.
it.
You hold on to a bit of your youth. When I sing Last of the Rock Stars,
Right.
to this day, I remember writing that in a hotel in Switzerland in 1971.
Yeah.
And it just encapsulated all my rock and roll dreams in it.
Yeah. I've heard that too, said music helps keep you young, you know.
Mm.
So I don't know who said that, but maybe many people. But yeah. Well, and then that connection you make with the audience, which for you, do you prefer the writing the songs, recording, or the playing live?
Wow. Tough, very tough question. And very different experiences, I think all three. Writing songs, when you know that song is finished and it works, it's very satisfying. I mean, it's like building a house, all the parts have to fit together and nothing's missing and each word is right. So I think that part of my soul, which is a writer, that might be the most enjoyable part. Recording is, I often describe recording as you take this song and you're running through a minefield with it, just hoping it doesn't get blown up on the way. Uh, but then there is the excitement of the audience, when you're playing live and it becomes a communal experience. And, that applause becomes addictive.
Yeah.
It's why nobody quits. They're all
Right.
still out there, be it the Rolling Stones, Paul McCartney, Bruce Springsteen, or myself.
Yeah.
It's an addictive lifestyle and it's hard to let it go.
It's that immediate reaction that you get
Immediate,
from
that satisfaction, that gratification. Yeah, there's nothing like it.
right. Do you hear today from old fans as well as new fans?
Oh, I do. I do. I will hear from fans who attended some of my early shows in New York and a lot of fans here in Europe who, Usually they remember the shows better than I do, but they will say, I was there when you first played at La Palace in 1979, or the first time I came to Spain. I did a television show there, and they remember watching that on TV.
Yeah, yeah. You know who Tom Rush is? The
Of
folk singer?
course,
Oh,
legendary.
I just talked to him recently, and it's my latest post interview on my channel. So check that out when you get a chance. But he tells the story of some 20 year olds, early 20s fans that saw a show of his. I don't remember what year it was, but they said they went out and record shopping and bought one of his albums on vinyl and went back home. And what they did with it was they posted it up on the wall, just the picture. You know, you've seen some of these places, you know, like I know Half Price Books is one that they would
Hmm.
put in the bathroom, just the vinyl covers of the albums in there,
Right,
you know,
yeah.
decorate. And they decided, hey, maybe we should let's listen to this one. I don't know one of the rest of it. And I said, hey, there's a new use for an album, right? Actually play it and listen to it. It's not just for home decor, you know.
Someone did a survey, and it's like 50% of the people who buy vinyl do not have record players.
Is wild.
So it's,
That is wild. Is it just like a collector just for the picture, or
I
I don't.
guess so. And they're such beautiful objects, you know. Sometimes a CD cover is so small and behind glass half the
Yeah,
time. But I'll
yeah,
tell you what really has put the generations of fans into context for me. You know, Greg, when I first started out, sometimes I'd get the cute girls in the front row would come backstage and say, I really like your music.
yeah,
And then some years later, they would start to come backstage and saying, you know, my father really likes your music.
yeah.
And now they come backstage and say, my grandfather really likes your music.
Right. That puts things in perspective, doesn't
That puts it all in perspective.
it? I like that. Yeah. If you're around and you're fortunate enough to live long enough, that's what happens, right? That's what happens, right? Wow. Well, that's good. Yeah, connecting those generations too, you know. And I'm sure you've noticed that the fans that are out there, maybe the older the grandparents, but bring their kids or their grandkids to the show. So, you
Yeah.
know, this kind of and good music is gonna be passed on. It'll travel anyway, you know. So
Oh,
that's one of the things I find, you know, anyway. Well, looks like one more thing, looks like beginning in December, you've got some European dates scheduled to go on tour.
I do. We get usually get busy January through May. It's kind of my main touring period, and I play every March. Around my birthday is March 16th, so the weekend close to that, I do what are called the birthday shows at a very famous club here in Paris called New Morning, where it was mostly a jazz club. Nina Simone played there, Chet Baker, and Prince came and played there too.
Oh,
But I
okay.
do 2 nights there in March, and that's usually the high point of my winter season.
Okay. Well, that's something to look forward to. And do you have any other plans to tour other than that?
I'm putting out a lot of music these days. I'm
Oh,
releasing After Infinity. Uh, I was up in Normandy making a video over the summer, and I started writing a lot of songs. So I'm putting out a little EP called The Tree of Life.
all right.
That's going to be out in November. Folks can order it through my website, you know, www.elliottmurphy.com. And yeah, I like this idea of doing a series of EPs because they're almost like short stories.
Yeah.
And then once a year or once every 2 years, I do a full album.
Okay. That sounds good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that concept there. So, plenty to look forward to for the viewers, for the fans. And all right. Well, it sounds good. Anything that you'd like to mention or we might have omitted or you'd like to plug?
Well, if any of the old fans are still listening, I want to thank you for your support all these years. And if
Yeah.
there's new folks out there, you know, take a listen to my music, and we're happy to have you on board.
Yes, well said. All right then, Elliot. I will also send a copy of this to Anne.
Okay.
Yeah, and you as well. Both will get a copy of this probably this time next week,
All right.
probably next Thursday, and then you can share it or put it on your website. any social media you'd like, and try to get the word out. And it'll also be on my channel.
Will
So,
do, Greg.
all right. Well, I want to thank you again, Elliott. It's been very enjoyable. And
Pleasure talking with you.